Well, good morning, folks, and happy Monday to all of you out there in Internet Radio Land. I know you're all saying, crap, it's Monday, dude, what's happy about it? Sorry, I know I always sound really chipper on Monday shows, but it's because it's my Friday at my real job. Not only that, but it's the start of my radio week, so I have lots of fun stuff that starts off on Monday, and then I get to do over on the BTR channel Finding Common Ground with my buddy Dave every Tuesday. So there's just lots of fun stuff going on for me on that kicks off on Mondays. Sunday's usually a day away from everything but the job that pays me, and Saturday's usually a day I try to spend a little bit of time with my family. But at this point, we're going to follow a normal tradition that I've had ever since I've started doing a solo show over on the BTR channel, and we're going to kick it off with a little bit of music, only because, one, it gives me just a second to get the butterflies out of my tummy. Been doing this since February, and I'm still nervous every single time. Also, this will probably start becoming a tradition, only because I found a really cool non-copyrighted song in the Spreaker database that is all about Monday. So since I normally do this show on Mondays, this may be one that gets played more often. We will be right back, folks.
So now we face you once again. Like clockwork, you bring good times to an end. A week to suffer through begins anew because of you. Oh, Monday, Monday, we all hate you, yeah. That's right, I promise it's true. You can work, but we don't want to go away, nobody likes you. Tuesday's not as bad, and Wednesday's so Thursday's fine, and we know Friday's better, Saturday's the best, but Sunday brings us back to Monday. 4 days on my calendar, monthly, not the yearly kind. You make me wanna claw my eyes out. You make me wanna lose my mind. Oh, Monday, Monday, we all hate you, yeah. That's right, I promise it's true. You can work, but we don't want to go away, nobody likes you. Tuesday's not as bad, and Wednesday's so Thursday's fine, and we know Friday's better, Saturday's the best, but Sunday brings us back to Monday. Tuesday's not as bad, and Wednesday's so Thursday's fine, and we know Friday's better, Saturday's the best, but Sunday brings us back to Tuesday's not as bad, and Wednesday's so Thursday's fine, and we know Friday's better, Saturday's the best, but Sunday brings us back to
Alright, folks, and we are back, and again, this is America Off the Rails. I am your host, Double R. So, what's been going on in the news this week? Let's get a little bit of catch-up going on here. Let's see, we are on the verge of a government shutdown for, I believe, what is now going to be the third time in American recent history, if it occurs. Is anybody else, besides me, just a little bit nonplussed with this? I mean, come on, this has happened twice now. And I have to admit, the raging hardcore party line guy in me is screaming, let it shut down. Because, I mean, let's face it, If they're shut down, who's going to waste my money and spy on me? Because they can't do it without funding. But at the same time, I'm looking at this nice little mess that we call Obamacare, and the raging a-hole in me is screaming, hey, these people voted for him twice. They obviously wanted these policies because not only did they vote for him twice, they voted to make sure that everything else remained status quo as well. So, I'm kind of saying let them get what they voted for. At least then we'll know with 100% certainty whether or not this program's actually going to work. Because I have to admit, folks, even as a history buff, and a guy who is admittedly a nerd and had 22 social science credits by the time I graduated high school, which granted was forever ago. Yes, I'm old, I know. But still, I've tried to read through that law several times. There are things that are being distorted by both sides, and there are parts of it I haven't been able to get through. Because mainly I pull it up because, for those of you who don't know me personally, I do tend to sometimes suffer from insomnia, mainly because I typically have about 14 or 15 different ideas running through my head at any given time, and there just gets to be a point where I'm so tired I can't shut anything down anymore, yet I still can't sleep. So pulling up the Obamacare legislation is usually a pretty good cure for that for me. So I've made it, I think, about 700 pages in at last count. I mean, come on. As my buddy Dave puts it, that law is overall larger than the Bible and the Tolkien books combined. So there's no way any one person knows everything that's in it. It's just not possible. So I at this point, honestly, I have to agree with Bill O'Reilly on a certain point. Today doesn't seem like the day to be having this fight. Only because no matter how this plays out, the conservatives are going to look like jackasses. Whether we're right or wrong isn't going to matter because the media is going to spin it. And no matter how this plays out, at this point, we're going to lose because we've got ourselves backed into a corner. We're either going to look like a bunch of caving, whining buttheads, or we're going to stick to our guns and the government's going to shut down and everybody's going to freak out and pretend the sky is falling. I mean, everybody that I talk to on the street basically talks to me like they have the recurring loop of that REM song, It's the End of the World as We Know It, playing in their head right now. Because of the nightmare that we all find ourselves in. And here's the thing about this. This is still what a lot of these people voted for. So here's my thought, and it kind of mirrors something that I heard from O'Reilly this morning as I was getting ready for the show. Why not basically do a continuing resolution like they've done every other year for the last 5 years? Get things funded for the first couple of weeks. Move the fight for Obamacare on and tackle it at the same time that we're going over the debt ceiling. Because honestly, Obama's painted himself in a nice little corner in the debt ceiling because as a senator, he was railing against raising the debt ceiling, and now that he's the guy in charge, he wants to raise the debt ceiling. Now this is what? 3 times this has happened since his presidency? But, I played it last week. Actually, I may play it again here in a little bit since it seems to be something that we're talking about again. The differences between Obama as a senator and Obama as president as far as the debt ceiling goes. It's a little interesting, but, I really, like I said, I am of two minds here because the raging conservative in me just screams, you know what, stick to your guns. If we're going to go down, let's go down fighting. But the guy that realizes that we have several people, even some people in my family, that have government jobs, and if we allow the government to shut down, those folks are not going to get paychecks until that's resolved. Like I said, I'm split, because here's the thing, and I know I'm repeating myself, but we've gotten ourselves as conservatives painted into a corner. Plain and simple, because if we cave in now, we're going to look like weak, spineless jellyfish. Same thing that everybody was screaming about Obama and his red line comment. We've painted our own red line now, and if we give in, we're going to look like jellyfish. If we don't give in, we're going to look like buttheads. Yeah, there's another word for that, but I am actually starting to try to filter my language a little bit, because at some point when I can get through this show without playing extra music as filler, I plan on submitting it not anytime soon, because as far as I'm concerned, this is a not ready for primetime show, but we do have the ability to submit our stuff over to iHeartRadio Talk. But apparently, since it's specifically for talk, if you play music for more than 30 seconds at a time, even if you own the rights to the music or it's not considered copyrighted, you don't get submitted. So we will not be doing that for now. I mean, I could always be going back in and editing them and then resubmitting them, but we haven't been on the Spreaker channel for that long, and I'm trying to get some of the other Common Ground hosts to come over and play over here, because I have to admit, this seems like a much more active platform. I want to give a shout out to everybody who's been listening. We've got quite a few plays already. We've got even more followers than we've gotten plays, which leads me to believe you guys have kind of heard about us, but somebody said, the first 2 shows weren't that great, so let's follow them and see what happens. And I have to admit, there have been some technicals, because I'm used to using one platform, and I don't have all the equipment in order to be able to use this one yet, but I am working on that. This is something that we are trying to turn into a company that all started as a hobby, so as time goes on, it will get more polished, more professional. For now, consider it amateur political radio, which is how I look at it. And honestly, I think that's one of the things that has people paying more attention to it, is the fact that I'm not one of these guys that makes thousands of dollars an hour to sit and talk to you on the radio. I just look over news stories, do research of my own, and tell you how I feel about it, and then let you make your own decisions. And that's honestly how I like it. I'm getting really tired of the talking heads on both sides, because they just basically go off of an agenda, and they tell you what they think you want to hear, and they get you to buy their products or the products of the folks that advertise with them. We do have some advertisers, however, they are small. I do want to give a shout out to one. She's had a little bit going on this last week, and so have I, but we'll get to that in a second. Miss Sherry Britt, my independent Beachbody life coach, which I'll be playing a commercial for here in a little bit, is also starting a charity called Shelters for Schools. Well, she was supposed to come on to Red Shirt Friday over on our BTR channel, and unfortunately her father went into the hospital, so we've had to postpone that. I told her not to worry about it. The family comes first. These shows aren't going anywhere, neither is your sponsorship. So at some point, we will have her over on the BTR channel. Once I have an interview for it, I may chop it up into pieces, play some of it over here, because I don't know how many people are making the transitions between the platforms, because we have quite a few listeners over there, quite a few listeners over here, but I don't know how well the communities mesh, because I know it's starting to get the impression it's kind of like Coke and Pepsi. If you like one, you really don't like the other, but you'll drink it in a pinch. So, if you like what we're doing over here, at least go check it out over there. We've got a lot more shows over there. You'll even find older episodes of this show in its original incarnation, which was just off the rails with Double R. So this show's been around for a while. It hasn't been on Spreaker for that long, but you can always check out older shows there. And who knows, at some point I may start moving them over here. The biggest thing I'm concerned about is over here we do have storage limitations, so I'm trying not to take up a bunch of room with old shows that you can find elsewhere. So if you want to check them out, just go over to Blog Talk Radio, search Common Ground Media Group. That's the name of our company. Over here it's Common Ground Radio Oklahoma, which at some point when we merge everything together, the radio aspect will probably continue on under that name. The reason it's called Common Ground Media Group is we are actually partnering with a local free press paper, freepressok.com. You can find editorials from yours truly there occasionally, op-ed pieces. Some of the other folks contribute as well. We've also partnered with one of the libertarian admins of our Facebook page, Steve Long, also known as Otter. He hosts a show over on the BTR channel, and he runs a blog, which he is editor-in-chief of. You can find occasional contributions from myself, more Dave lately, but I do try to contribute to those as much as I can. But let's be honest, I'm working full-time, trying to raise a family, and I spend about 3 to 4 days a week on the radio, so haven't had much time for writing lately, which honestly I think is one of the reasons why I've been having trouble sleeping. While this helps with my stress levels, this doesn't get everything out that I normally get out when I'm able to write a an op-ed piece. So I'm going to have to start trying to find some more time to do that. Alright, well, you've heard me prattle on enough for the last few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and take another little bit of a music break here, and then at that point we're going to go ahead and get into the meat of what I wanted to talk about today, and we will be right back.
Come down to the riverside later, need to hash this out tonight. Pull up to the docks, cut off your car, turn out your lights. He's 50, singing like a bird, we gotta blow this candle out. Send a message to the boys and the feds, show them what we're all about. Another member of the family gotta be gunned down. Losing numbers by the day, bodies all around. Do it fast, do it right, put him in the ground. Another member of the family gotta be gunned down. If anybody notices, you better make sure they don't talk. Only one way to do that, just make sure they don't walk away. Stay underground until you get the word from me. Another member of the family gotta be gunned down. Losing numbers by the day, bodies all around. Do it fast, do it right, put him in the ground. Another member of the family gotta be gunned down. Another member of the family gotta be gunned down. Another member of the family. Losing numbers by the day, bodies all around. Keep losing numbers by the day. Do it fast, do it right, put him in the ground. 6 feet underground now. Another member of the family gotta be gunned down. Another member, another member.
Okay, folks, sorry about that little bit of a delay there. Apparently my internet does not like having more than one thing open at a time this morning. Okay, yeah, I was trying to bring up some stories, so I'll probably roll a commercial here in a second and see if I can get some things worked out here. But I did want to, I'm assuming since I could hear it in my headset that broadcasted fine. I didn't think about this until I actually started playing that song. This song kind of reminds me of the verbal shootout we have going on between Republicans right now. I mean, another member of the family has to be gunned down. I mean, that kind of sounds like the stuff that's going on between the more moderate folks and Ted Cruz, because at this point they've declared him enemy number one. The liberal establishment is calling him a terrorist. I've seen more than one liberal friend of mine on my Facebook page calling Ted Cruz and those who want to defund Obamacare terrorists. This is the part of this I find interesting. A senator who's standing on his principles basically does a filibuster, which is his right as a senator, is called a terrorist, but the dude who goes on a killing spree in an army base a few years back, that's declared workplace violence. Priorities messed up much? Just saying. I'm going to see if I can get some of these stories to pull up. So we're going to go ahead and roll a commercial. About 10 minutes earlier than usual. Do apologize. Again, like I said, still trying to get some things ironed out between the two platforms. We are going to be right back. Hang on just a second.
We were made to be courageous. We were made to lead the way. We could be the generation that finally breaks the chains.
Giving the Obama administration the big ones up, right from the middle finger. Common Ground Radio with Double R.
Hey folks, I don't know about you, but I always feel like there just isn't enough time in the day. You know, one of those not enough hours in the day kind of things. But, you know, working full-time, raising a family, trying to start a company, I'm sure some of you can relate. So, what can we do about it, I guess is my question. Short of hijacking Doc Brown and having him show you the secrets to the DeLorean, what if I told you there was a way where we could get you more energy for the hours that you had in your day, instead of worrying about finding more time in your day? Anyway, I found the information through my independent Beachbody life coach, Miss Sherry Britt. You can find her information online at www.beachbody.com/SherryBritt1. Basically, I have to tell you, folks, I haven't been doing it for very long, but it's working. It's one of those total commitment kind of things. I'm using a program called Shakeology. Basically, it's a meal replacement. Think Slim Fast, but better. And also, I have one of Sean T's workout videos. We're doing T25 right now. Started that a couple of days ago. Have to admit, I'm old, I'm fat, and it's painful, but I feel better. And it's one of those things where I'm doing it at my own pace. There's also nutrition plans involved in a lot of these packages if you go for the whole thing. So it's what they like to call a challenge pack. I call it a bundle offer. Basically, it gets you the Shakeology video of your choice and a diet and exercise plan all rolled into one. Basically, it's just one of those things where, what have you got to lose? You might as well try it. We all complain that there's not enough time in the day. What if there just isn't enough energy for us in the day anymore? You remember when we were kids? A day felt like a week, because we were always doing something. Just my thoughts on it, folks. Give it a shot. Like I said, you can find the information at the link I just gave you a minute ago. What have you got to lose?
If you don't believe in God we trust, then strap your bomb to yourself and ride your camel out of here. You're listening to America Off the Rails with Double R, right here on Common Ground Radio.
Alright, folks, and we are back again. This is Double R, and you are listening to America Off the Rails. So, where were we? Oh yeah, government shutdown, Obamacare. You know, there's just so many things about this law that nobody seems to understand. Here's the thing. This thing's supposed to kick in within a few hours. Most of the framework isn't even functional yet. So what in the world's going to happen? This is one of the reasons why, as far as I'm concerned, quit fighting for the shutdown, folks. Temporarily funded along with everything else. Give it a couple more weeks. And let's let the thing fall on its face. I mean, it's either going to work or it's not. And at this point, what have you got to lose? I mean, the biggest thing that I think conservatives should be fighting for is to look Mr. Obama in the face and say, hey, look, if you're going to exempt all your buddies for the next 12 months, you need to make it optional for the American people. Give them 12 months. For the folks that have to have it, let them go ahead and sign up now so they can see how it's going to work. For the folks that have insurance, because thankfully there are some places who haven't reduced everybody to part-time work yet, although when this thing fully kicks in, I'm kind of expecting that to start happening. So, what's the harm? You've exempted almost all of your buddies. I mean, of course, except for the biggest union that pushed for it in the first place, that's now screaming, or pushed to elect you in the first place, that's now screaming that what you're going to do to them is basically kill their enrollment and kill jobs and blah blah blah, yada yada yada. Can't do this, can't have it happen. That's the SEIU, folks, for anybody who's wondering. This show may seem a little more disjointed than usual. For some reason I am having technical issues, so I'm not able to pull up some of the stories that I'd planned on going over with you. However, I do have fairly good recall, so I do remember most of the gist of them, and I can at least tell you where I found them. One of the ones that I was going to talk about today is from not only a Facebook page, but a blog and a radio show. And believe it or not, I just found out these ladies actually have a legitimate on-the-air radio show, so I'm a little jealous, but obviously, you know, it's awesome. This is from Chicks on the Right. One of the things that everybody's been talking about is, you know, the fact that Obama refuses to negotiate with conservatives over this healthcare law. What everyone likes to call Obamacare, I basically call the Unaffordable Care Act, because it's done nothing so far but jack the heck out of prices. So I mean, so here's the thing: he'll negotiate with the Russians over Snowden. He'll open lines of communication with Iran. First time that's happened since I believe the 70s. But he won't negotiate with Americans over a healthcare law that most of us are afraid of simply because we don't understand it. I've talked to doctors. I know several doctors that are moving out of the insurance business altogether. They're going to, you walk into my office, you pay me cash, your prices are about a third or less what they used to be, and we call it good and life goes on. All because people don't understand the healthcare law. Okay, so here's the thing. If it's as good as everybody says it is, then why don't you help people figure out what's in it instead of screaming that it's going to fix everything but not telling anybody how? If it's really that good, then obviously all we need is people that can understand it to explain it to the average American. That's not happening. What we're getting instead is, apparently there are going to be some sports organizations that are going to be involved in pushing Obamacare. Apparently, NBC has now decided it's going to push the Obamacare agenda during an entire week of programming. Again, as I said, I'm working from memory and I don't remember the dates. However, you can find the information online simply by Googling NBC and Obamacare. I don't know about you, but as much as I like a lot of the shows that are on NBC, I plan on not watching them at all for that week. Only because, you know, I'm sorry, but if your job is to entertain me, I don't really want you delving into the political realm. That's not your place. And it's not like they're going to be doing it in an informative way. It's going to be like the whole Green Week thing, where they're like, oh, you should get these CFL light bulbs and blah, 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 blah. You know, those things that nobody's using now because we figured out they were worse than I guess those the compact fluorescents. Anyway, I know at some point there was a light bulb that everybody was going to get pushed to, that were going to be manufactured out of China, and apparently they discovered that the health risks for those were worse than the money savings that were going to be involved. So I think they've moved on to some other thing that they're probably about to start pushing down our throats. Yay for the EPA, but that's a topic for another story. That's a story for another show. Speaking of other shows, I did find something right before the airing of this show, when this show started, that I plan on researching, hopefully for next week. I'm not going to give you too much on it, because honestly, it's one of those things where other folks have already started covering it a little bit, so I'm going to do some research on it, see if I can find some information out about it that they haven't touched on. Again, as a reminder, right now, at least for this particular show, it's pretty much a one-man gig, so I am a little bit behind most of the major talking heads and all of that fun stuff, but I try to bring you my own perspective on the stuff, even if I am a little bit behind. The other thing I'm honestly working on is to quit trying to say every 30 seconds. So, but again, this is not professional broadcasting. So far, I don't make a dime for any of this. If the shows continue like this, I probably never will. Sorry, little inside humor. See, here's the thing that I don't understand, and I don't know if it's maybe just because of the way I was raised. Because I mean, I here's the thing. I talk to people all the time who listen to the shows over on BTR, and they listen to the shows over here, and they're like, "Oh, you sound great. Other than the technical issues that you've been having since you moved over to Spreaker, really enjoy the show." And I'm like, that's odd, because to me they suck. And I mean, I'm not saying that to degrade myself or denigrate myself or downgrade myself or any of the above. It's just, I have a perpetual issue where basically anything that I ever do, I don't feel like I'm doing well enough. Which is good to a point, because it keeps me striving to make things better. But it also gives me an artificial attitude of, well, this didn't go well. And then I hear from other people, and they're like, "Oh, it was awesome." I'm like, okay. So, yeah. Anyway, again, just want to take a moment to say thanks to everybody who's been checking us out so far. This is the third show we've done over here. Now have over 120 followers and climbing. A few less plays than that, but I think that's because a few folks are going back and listening again, because apparently it doesn't count it if you listen more than once. But anyway, just again wanted to say thanks to everybody. One of the other things, let me see if I can get at least the gist of it. Oh yeah, and again, this is me going from memory, because I can't pull up the article without stalling out the console. Apparently, whether government shuts down in the next few hours or not, Obama is still going to go on his Asia trip. So let me get this straight, Mr. President. If the government shuts down, we're going to be too broke to pay our military. We're going to be too broke to keep a good portion of the government jobs running. Yet you can still make a trip to Asia in Air Force One, the biggest gas-guzzling plane on the planet. See, here's my thing, folks. I don't honestly know enough about the office to know if it would be logistically possible. But if I happen to be the President of the United States while I'm supposedly presiding over the worst economy ever and the slowest recovery ever, the first thing I would start doing is finding ways to downsize the things that I have to be in quite often. With the technology the way it is today, I don't see any reason why we can't be using a smaller plane to get the president around. Not only that, but we could, remove most of the technology from said plane and sell it off to someone, while also using a smaller plane to get me from point A to point B to point C, thereby saving the American taxpayer some money. So again, I don't know enough about the office to know what all goes on in Air Force One, but I'm pretty sure, I know back in the day it had to be a huge plane, because there were consoles and folks in there and radio rooms and blah blah blah, yada yada yada. I'm pretty sure we could probably fit most of that crap in a shoebox now. So why can't we use a smaller plane? There are smaller jets that still hold 20 to 30 people that are going to use about, I'd say 1/3 the fuel. Maybe more. Or less than 1/3 the fuel. How much money would that save? Especially when we've got the campaigner-in-chief. I'm sorry, guys, but let's face it, this dude has done nothing but campaign for 5 years. Anytime he's got anything he wants to talk about, he goes on the campaign trail. He's been campaigning for Obamacare and against Fox News for the last 2 weeks. He's literally still going around slamming a news organization. Granted, that news organization doesn't like him very much, and I still watch them occasionally. Normally what I'll do is I'll start on the days that I am doing show prep. I will start on Fox News in the morning, then roll through to CNN at some point through the day to see what they're covering on the days that I'm off work. Then I will roll through to MSNBC. Because as someone who tries to stay informed and tries to bring folks as much information as I can on whatever platforms I happen to have access to, I tend to try to see things from both sides. Now, some of you who know me are laughing right now and saying you have to do that anyway because you have one eye that goes in one direction and one that looks forward. But you know what, guys? That's a different story. So quit telling people about it. Oh wait, that was just me. Sorry. Anyway, so yeah, we'll get into that another time. But I mean, it's just one of those things where, as somebody who tries to be informed, who tries to bring information and my opinions to other people, I tend to try to find things from multiple sources. Now, some of the sources don't always pan out. I've noticed, especially lately, it seems like everybody's jumping on the satire bandwagon, but they're not informing anyone that it's satire when they write it. To me, that just seems like a bad practice. Not only that, but I've seen several Facebook pages, one of mine included, every so often get caught up in that mess, which is dumb. So normally, from this point, or from a few weeks ago, if I see something that looks completely outlandish, I will start looking into it to see if I can find any inferences that this may or may not be satire. Apparently, one of the ones that hit a lot of conservative Facebook pages within the last week or so was one where apparently Obama declared November National Muslim Month or some other crap. Apparently that is not a legitimate story. So yeah, for anybody who read into that, one of the things that I found that you may want to start doing, because like I said, there are several papers that are getting into the satire biz, but they're not letting folks know that they're satirical, because most of them at some point, some of them you can tell. Like there was one a few months ago that one of the admins from our Common Ground page posted, and on the right hand side it had all kinds of outlandish things, one of which was Pope Benedict comes out of the closet after resigning from the papacy. So yeah, to me that was kind of a giveaway. So I posted something over there without telling anybody it was satire, which was from the same paper and still had the same stuff on the side. And basically I got called out and said, this is satire, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I kind of thought the Pope being called out as a gay guy over on the right-hand side of the screen would have told everybody that. So I didn't realize I needed to post that as well. But then there was something that was posted by another admin a couple of weeks later from the same paper where he wasn't aware it was satire. So things to always look out for. Check the right-hand side of the screen, see how believable the other articles look. The other thing I will normally do if I'm completely not sure is I will Google the name of the provider of the article, as far as, The Onion or so on and so forth, which everybody knows The Onion satire, but that's different. And basically it will normally tell you if it's a paper that typically writes, or an online paper that typically writes satire or not. So things to bear in mind, because the issue that we're finding is we have more and more conservative pages where they'll read through a juicy headline, grab it, run with it, and then they realize too late that they got suckered in, and that's not good. There's plenty of things that we can be discussing that are real and rational. We don't keep having to go off into satire land and tinfoil hat land. So, but yeah, anyway, before I started going off on a little tangent, we were talking about the fact that apparently President Obama is still going to Asia even if the government shuts down. So let's rewind and look at this again. The government shutting down because there are a vast majority, or if the government shuts down, it's because there are a vast majority of Americans who are reaching out to their congressmen and screaming, "We don't want Obamacare, we never did, and it's almost too late." And that's one side of the story. Then if you look at it from the liberal perspective, the government's about to shut down because the conservatives, or Republicans in this case, are a bunch of whiny little bitches, and they didn't get their way, so now they're throwing a temper tantrum. And if they shut everything down, or if everything shuts down, it's going to be entirely their fault. See, here's the problem, folks. The truth is always somewhere in the middle. We do have plenty of people who don't want anything to do with Obamacare and they never did. We also have plenty of people who have been misled about Obamacare and assume it's going to be free health care. They hear Obamacare and the first thing they think of is Obama phone, which is another program that basically they get cell phone access for like $1 a month. You usually get a free phone. Typically it comes with either a limited number of minutes or unlimited calls and unlimited texting, depending on where you go to get the phone. So the problem is we have a large number of people who have absolutely no idea how the law works on both sides, or how the law is even supposed to work on both sides. So where does the fault lie there? As far as I'm concerned, it lies on everybody. Every single one of us. Even me. Because I've tried to do some research. I really have. I've looked into it quite a bit. Has it done me any good? Yeah, not really. Because depending on where you look, you get entirely different stories. The leftist-leaning papers and pages and blogs are screaming that Obamacare is going to be the savior of our nation. The right-leaning blogs are screaming that Obamacare is going to destroy our nation. And the folks in the middle are posting pictures about kittens. Because they don't care. I mean, I know so many people that were on our Facebook page around last election time that have just been like, that I've talked to personally because they're friends of mine, and they're like, I actually unliked your page not too long ago. I'm just completely fed up with politics. And I'm just thinking, there are just some things that are more important than Duck Dynasty or Honey Boo Boo or Once Upon a Time or Castle or anything for that matter. We are getting to the point now where we have hit the point where we're about to hit a turn. There's a reason that I came up with the name of this show. Because literally, folks, America is coming off the rails. I mean, I've shortened it for the show purposes to America Off the Rails, because honestly, I think it may be too late. I'm still going to be the lone guy standing on the rooftop, screaming as loud as I can into the wind that it's too late, and I'm going to be, that it's not too late, and that we need to be trying to change things. And I'm also taking that and trying to turn it into a company so that I can hopefully reach more people while continuing to basically do what I like to call tilting at windmills. Because that's how this idea came about. I started a Facebook page, last August? That was a fully conservative Facebook page. I ran it for a few days, got kind of bored with it, had another idea, so I brought a more liberal friend of mine on board. By liberal, I mean more JFK style, or for those of you who are history buffs, more Jeffersonian style liberal than the crazy kooks that are running the liberal side of things now. And basically, we started posting things from opposite sides in the hopes that people would actually discuss them, and maybe we could figure out that, aside from 6 or 7 hot button issues, we tend to agree. The problem is that never really happened. It got to the point where if I was posting a lot, we would bring in lots of conservatives who were like, oh, this page is awesome. And then as soon as Dave posted something, they're like, this page sucks, we're out of here. And then vice versa. If there were a few days that Dave was posting, liberals would come on and be like, oh, I feel so at home here. And then I'd post something and they'd be like, this is just a bunch of Obama-hating crap, we're out of here. So, yeah, it's been a trying few months. I have seen strictly conservative pages skyrocket because they do nothing but yell about how much Obama sucks and how Muslims are evil and blah blah blah, yada yada yada, and everybody goes there, grabs their pom-poms and screams and yells. No, I am a diehard conservative. That's never going to change. But I'm also a firm believer that here's the thing. We elected a gentleman who said he was going to reach across the aisle to mend broken fences. I say we. I can't really say that. I didn't vote for him, not the first time or the second time. But the American people voted for a guy based on what he was saying at the time he was getting elected, who has done absolutely none of that. Not only that, but he's continued to lie to the American people. He told you guys your health care was going to get cheaper. It was going to go down by $2,500 a month once Obamacare started being implemented. It's gone up by over $3,500 a month last I checked. We have the 18 to 30 crowd that are going to be paying double, if not triple, the amounts they were paying for healthcare before. Why? Because the more of them that sign up, the less they have to pay for the older folks. That's why they're going to be sticking it to you guys, because you don't really need the healthcare in the first place. They know this. Most of the 18 to 25 crowd goes to the hospital maybe once, twice in 3-4 years. So they're going to be charging you X amount of dollars a month for healthcare you're probably not going to use, just to make sure they can cover the cost for the folks that are 60 to 70 that are in there all the time. Not only that, but these plans are generic one-size-fits-all plans. I talked about this on, it was either Tuesday's or Friday's show with Dave over on the BTR channel. There is a gentleman here in Oklahoma who got notice from Blue Cross and Blue Shield. He was, I want to say 33 years old, unmarried, no children. His current plan didn't fit the Obamacare mandates, and his premium was going to double. You know why his premium was going to double? Because not only did he have to keep all the coverage for himself, he had to start paying for things like juvenile dental care, prenatal care. I'm sorry, what? 33 years old, unmarried, doesn't have any kids, probably doesn't plan on having any kids anytime soon. Because I know lots of folks in that age range anymore that are just like, yeah, not having any kids with for me. Yeah, it's just not going to happen. So again, we go from we're going to find ways to make things better for the American people to we're going to give you one-size-fits-all cookie-cutter insurance plans, and if you don't like it, you can either take it or we're going to fine you. So here's the thing, folks. The 18 to 30 crowd, average monthly premium, probably from the research I've been able to do, going to be ranging about $350 a month. The fine for the first year for not having Obamacare, $94. And that's only if you get caught. Don't know about you, but as somebody who didn't go through Common Core education and I can still do math, I'm kind of leaning towards if I didn't already have insurance, I'd be rolling the dice and trying to see if I didn't get caught. Oh yeah, but don't even get me started on my insurance. I happen to actually work in the airline industry, and we have what's considered a Cadillac plan. They haven't even told us what's happening with our insurance yet. Folks are getting all kinds of notices all over the place, and I'm just like, I still don't really know. So, we shall see. And if if you hear me audibly crying on the show in the next few months, you'll figure out that I figured out how much my health care was going to cost, and I didn't like it. Okay, so at this point, I think we're going to go ahead and take another little bit of a break. Going to go ahead and roll a commercial and then probably roll into a song because we have passed the halfway point. So we will be right back. Don't go anywhere, folks. Still got lots more on tap. We'll be back with you here in just a couple of minutes.
I put my trust in you, just as far as I can go.
Giving the Obama administration the big ones up, right from the middle finger. Common Ground Radio with Double R.
Alright, folks, some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm Double R, the founder here at Common Ground Media Group. And we have two different channels running. We have Common Ground Media Group Oklahoma over on Blog Talk Radio, and we have Common Ground Radio Oklahoma on Spreaker. Now, Common Ground Radio Oklahoma is a startup. We've been on BTR now since February, but we've decided we want some more airtime and some more flexibility. So for now, mine is one of the only shows that's going to be found over there. I'm going to go ahead and just give you our lineup in order and let you know a few things that are going on behind the scenes. Sundays, over on the BTR channel, we have The Outer Limits, hosted by Steve Long, one of the only libertarian radio hosts that I'm aware of. At least from the amateur angle, and you can catch him every Sunday from 6 to 8 p.m. He does normally have some pretty good live guests on there. He even had a recent gubernatorial candidate on, so if you haven't checked that one out, you may want to go back and hit up our archive shows available on the Blog Talk channel and get caught up. And then we have Monday, my show, which is located over on Spreaker, America Off the Rails. That is, of course, hosted by yours truly. That's basically my conservative show where I rant and complain and vent, and it helps with my sanity, and I hope you guys like it too. And if not, I'm going to still keep doing it anyway, because like I said, it does help with my sanity. And then we have the show on Tuesday, which is Finding Common Ground, and that is featuring myself and Dave, and that is, again, located over on the Blog Talk channel. That typically starts between 8 and 8:30, and it's basically where a cranky conservative, yours truly, and a hacked-off Jeffersonian liberal, my buddy Dave, get together and try to talk about current events and see about setting some differences aside to see if maybe we can find a way to fix this crazy mess we all find ourselves in right now. Then we have Wednesday, The Family Factor, hosted by Denny C. That is 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., again, over on the Blog Talk channel. Now, Denny does have some things in the works that he's going to be bringing over to the Spreaker channel. Different formats than The Family Factor. We're still ironing some of that stuff out. Then on Thursday, we have On the Fringes. That is Dave's music show, where basically he plays alternative music, alternate country, indie, pop, all that fun stuff. It's a really great show. Different kind of audience than most of the ones that we bring in, so it's nice to have a little bit of variety. Speaking of variety, we'll get to that in a minute. On Friday, we have the Red Shirt Friday show featuring the Common Ground crew. Normally that's me and Dave and maybe some of the other admins hanging out, just having a little bit of fun from our Common Ground political page over on Facebook. Try to get a few of them involved here and there when we can, at least on Fridays. And then on Saturday, we have a new show hitting the lineup that's all about wrestling. You guys will find more out about that. The first airing will be tomorrow at the time that I record this first commercial for the network that I've done in a while. And that pretty much concludes our lineup for now. Thanks to everybody who's been tuning in and checking us out. We hope you like us over on BTR, and we hope to make lots of new friends over on Spreaker. As we bring more shows in, of course, I will let you know.
You're listening to America Off the Rails with Double R, right here on the Common Ground Media Network.
Once I rose above the noise and confusion, just to get a glimpse beyond this illusion. I was soaring ever higher, but I flew to...
Alright, folks, well, at the time that we recorded that commercial, or I should say I recorded that commercial, I didn't know what the name of the wrestling show was going to be. It's now ran 2 weeks consecutively in our Saturday time slot over on the BTR channel, and it's Around the Ring, hosted by Dave and Steve. So feel free to go over there and check that out. And again, as promised, we're going to go ahead and roll into a song. We will be right back.
Staring at the waterline, relaxing without even trying. Oh. Summer's come to an end. I don't know where to begin the rest of my life. Oh. So I'll keep searching for something I can call my own. Oh. This world keeps turning, and somehow I'm still trying to survive. Give it time. It's gonna be up to the wind of New Orleans or Mexico. But even if I take my time, I'll still get lost to find that I'll make it by. Oh, so I'll keep turning stones to find the thing I can call my own. And I know this world keeps spinning, and somehow I'm still learning to survive. Give it time. And there's not much left to say, 'cause I know I'll be doing okay, relaxing by the waterline. And I'll write from time to time, and maybe drop you a line, and talk about next summertime.
The big ones up, right from the middle finger. Common Ground Radio with Double R.
Alright, folks, and we are back. I'm going to take probably the last little bit of the show. Got a couple of things I wanted to go over, but I'm going to take a second to get a little personal with you guys. I hope you don't mind. This last week has been pretty trying for me. I have, give me a second to get this out before anybody freaks out. I've been part of an A&E-style intervention earlier this week. A participant in, not the subject of, before anybody freaks out, or I would have opened the show by saying, hey, this is Double R coming to you from a rehab center near you. I have a family friend who's managed to get himself mixed up in quite a bit of stuff, and I have to admit, it's kind of changed my mindset when it comes to the whole drug war situation. Because here's the thing. Now, granted, the biggest issue that I still find is, everybody talks about, how marijuana's not harmful, it's not a gateway drug. I know plenty of people that's true for, but I also know plenty of people that it's not true for. This particular person would be one of those ones that it's not true for, even though that's what he was screaming the whole time he was using marijuana. Well, it turns out marijuana led to pill use, which led to him finding a particular type of pill, which makes him more than a little bit crazy, which led to him trying to steal from some family members and got him put on probation. Well, while he was on probation, because he couldn't take the pills any longer and he couldn't smoke marijuana and still pass the drug test, he got mixed up in the synthetic marijuana sensation. It started out with a drug called K2, which is one of those nice little things like bath salts that they sell in smoke shops, and it says, hey, not fit for human consumption. So as long as it's on the label, they can sell it. Here's the thing. The FDA, anytime they step in and try to make that particular substance illegal, somebody changes the formula just enough where it doesn't fit the classification so they can continue to sell it. See, after finding out that this friend of mine was hooked on this stuff, I did a little bit of research. There are several smoke shops around here that I'm not going to mention. Those bad boys that have been around for a while are suddenly having to have armored cars come in and do their money runs. So, before that stuff started being sold, yeah, not so much. Now that they're selling that stuff, yeah, we're talking armored cars coming into little bitty hole-in-the-wall smoke shops to do their money runs. Here's the thing, folks. Apparently, that stuff is so addictive, it's crazy. From talking to this particular person, who basically I helped get into rehab and helped put on a plane last, what was it, Thursday or Friday? I think it was Thursday. Sorry, this whole week's kind of gone into a blur. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Thursday, because we talked about this over on Red Shirt Friday on BTR a little bit. But yeah, helped find a rehab facility down in Florida for this particular person. Apparently partially funded by one of the Dr. Phil foundations. They were able to use insurance that the gentleman had through family, and even though they were only going to be taking 40%, or only paying 40% because it was considered out of network, they said that was enough, and if nothing else, they would just write off the difference. So he is currently in a rehab facility in Florida. I hope he's using it to his benefit, but only time will tell. But here's one of the revelations I've kind of had with this particular situation. Now, I'm not saying anything about the harder stuff than marijuana or the folks that are abusing and stealing prescription drugs, anything else. I'm talking about specifically marijuana. As far as I'm concerned, it's time for us to let that crap go. It's not working any better than it did when we tried to do the prohibition thing with alcohol. If anything, it's worse, because we are making criminals millionaires who can then fund small armies to go kill people that they don't agree with. When at the same time, if we were regulating this stuff and taxing this stuff, people would have access to it, but at the same time it would be much better regulated, much probably better produced in the long run, and probably safer overall, because at least then, if all you're doing is going home and you're sparking a J once in a while, as far as I'm concerned, while I can't stand that crap, it makes me sick. To me, that's no different than going home and making yourself a drink. If you're doing it in the privacy of your own home, who the hell cares? As long as you're not going out in the public, driving around under the influence of either drugs or marijuana or alcohol, because I'm not even going to call that a drug anymore. Come on, it's a plant, for God's sake. Let's get real honest here. The prohibition of marijuana started around the same time that synthetic fabrics were being created. I wonder why. Because up until then, hemp was used in the production of most fabrics. And now all of a sudden we have these things called polyesters. I have a feeling if hemp was still legal, most people would still be making their stuff out of hemp, because it's really, really durable. From what I understand, I think the Army still uses it for a lot of stuff, but I can't say anything because I haven't been able to find anything one way or the other. I hear from people that they do, I hear from people that they don't, and while researching it, I'm finding the same online. So whether they do or not, jury's still out. But let's be honest here, and again, I'm not talking about heroin, crack, meth, crank, whatever else you want to call it. As far as I'm concerned, still, if you're using any of that stuff, you not only deserve to be thrown in jail, you deserve to be thrown under the jail. But marijuana, as far as I'm concerned, should be treated no differently than alcohol or cigarettes. For this specific reason. At this point, all we're doing is forcing people to get creative. We have people that are now manufacturing chemicals which can kill people. They literally, to be able to sell it in smoke shops, have to put on the package, not fit for human consumption. And yet these people are going home and smoking it. And apparently it's bad enough, after talking to this gentleman, at least according to him, taking what he said at face value, He'd only smoked it 3 or 4 times before he was completely hooked on it, and he was doing whatever he had to do to go find it. And from talking to him on the way to the plane, he was finding ways, whether it was beg, borrow, or steal, to come up with $80 a day to spend on this crap. That's not even counting the cigarettes that he smokes. The gentleman also smoked, I believe, at last count, between a pack and 2 packs a day of regular cigarettes. So even in Oklahoma, for the cheap stuff, you're looking at $10 a day for cigarettes, $80 a day for incense that you can smoke. That's $90 a day. That's over $10 an hour. That's what most people in the lower end of things bring home as a paycheck every day. After taxes is $90 a day. This gentleman was finding ways to come up with $90 a day by hook or by crook. And I talked to him about it on the way to the airport. I'm like, dude, do you realize how much money you're spending for cigarettes and for this? And you're griping because you don't have a car, can't keep a job. I said, come on, think about it, dude. I mean, come on. $90 a day times 7 days a week. How much is that? He's like, $630. I'm like, okay, now multiply that by 52 weeks. He's like, I can't. I said, dude, it's a salary. It's like $27,000, almost $28,000 a year. That's me doing the math in my head, folks. I'm probably a little bit off. But again, I can't pull anything up because then the studio shuts down. Not sure what's going on with the internet today. Normally it runs much better than this, but they are also still working on upgrading to Uverse in my neighborhood, and I do currently have AT&T DSL, so I'm sure that probably has something to do with it. But yeah, so anyway, so that would be, again, roughly somewhere between about $25,000 to $27,000 a year this gentleman is spending on legal substances. I mean, I can't even say illegal substances at this point because he's spending it on a legal product. If the stuff that we're going to allow people to sell is more addictive than the crap that we're trying to fight against, what sense does that make? Not only that, but now we have chemists and creative folks that are making probably hundreds of thousands of dollars a year off of a product that people aren't supposed to be smoking in the first place, yet everybody knows they're smoking it, but because they put that little label on there, they're completely fine. Nobody can touch them because, hey, it's not our fault. We told them they shouldn't be consuming it, yet they're consuming it. Okay, so you knowingly make a product that you know people are going to smoke, that's being sold as incense, mind you. So, here's the thing. If it's not fit for human consumption, and it's being sold as something that you can put in a burner in a room that you're going to smell, how the hell is that still legal? What the hell kind of sense does that make? I mean, come on. Not fit for human consumption, but go put it in a burner in your room and sniff the fumes because it smells good. No, it don't smell good. No. I mean, I'm sorry, folks. This just absolutely, positively makes no sense to me. It really doesn't. At this point, stop the ban on marijuana. Legalize it. Tax it. Regulate it. How much would that... I mean, but here's the reason why they won't. Prisons have become a for-profit scenario. It's not about incarceration or rehabilitation anymore. It's about turning a profit. This is one of the reasons that I strongly do feel that America is coming off the rails. We have gone from capitalism to corporatism. There are two feuding forms of government here. We have the aristocracy, known as the folks in D.C., trying to wrest as much power from you as they can. We have the corporate folks that are now running the other side of the coin and basically saying, oh, everything needs to be about profit, all goes to the shareholders, we're not worthy, bow to the shareholders, you little pissant motherfucker. I'm sorry, I'm going to stop there. But yeah, I mean, come on. let's look at it logically here. We have the folks in D.C. who are basically doing everything they can to curtail every single right that you have. We have folks in D.C. that are now saying that folks like me, who do amateur radio and do blogs and part of a free press paper and blah 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 blah, we shouldn't have First Amendment protection because we're not true journalists. That's the world we find ourselves in today, folks. They're doing everything they can to find ways to take the liberties from us that each and every one of us have taken for granted for decades. We've all gone about our lives, done our jobs, tried to take care of our families, and they've been secretly undermining everything that we've believed in for decades. And they've done a really damn good job of it. And now we find ourselves starting to wake up from the stupor of the gotta keep up with the Joneses, gotta have a 60-inch flat screen TV, gotta drive a new Mercedes, gotta have a 14-bedroom house, and we're going, wait, what? So, wait, suddenly the NSA is spying on me? What did I do? Wait, what do you mean there was an uprising in Benghazi that was based on a video? Wait, what do you mean the president called this a terror attack from day one when he was out on TV for 3 weeks afterwards saying it was too soon to tell, but we had a moderator in a debate say, oh, I have the transcript. Rather convenient, don't you think? I mean, it's all symptoms of the same problem. This is one of the things that's got me so pissed off I don't even know what to do anymore, because our system is supposed to be a two-party system. It's a one-party system. I mean, if you really stop and think about it, it's a one-party system. The only thing that is ever different anymore, at least that I can tell, basically since after Reagan left office, the only thing that's ever gotten any differently was where the money was going, depending on who was in charge. Each group has their loyal followers who donate money, and the group and the favors and the money, basically the direction it goes changes hands with with whoever's in power. It's the only thing that's different anymore. They all want the same thing. They all want us to be controlled. They all want us to be monitored. The only difference is one party's doing it on a bullet train and the other one's doing it on a handcar. You don't believe me? Think about it. GW is the one that passed the Patriot Act. Was that a good idea? No. Did plenty of Americans at the time think it was a good idea because of everything that we were going through? Probably. Some of us with half a brain were sitting back going, wait, this is a terrible idea. What are you doing? What are you doing? Said it before and I'll say it again. Anytime government starts talking about doing anything that's going to give them some sort of power, I always look it over and I say, okay, is this going to be something that I'm going to be comfortable with the other side having control of? Patriot Act was the same way. As far as I'm concerned, Obamacare is the same way. Even if you guys that are for Obamacare now are all like, oh, this is going to be great, we're going to be taken care of, blah, 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 blah. There's going to be a day, folks, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but there's going to be a day when that particular program is going to run out of money. That's the problem with socialism. That's the reason why it never really works out very well, because eventually you run out of other people's money. So that particular program is going to start running out of money. From what I've been able to find, probably sooner rather than later. One moment. Sorry about that. I need a kill button. Something that I guess I need to just have something ready so whenever I'm going to have a coughing fit or something, I can have something that just says, one moment please, and plays a little bit of music for a second. But yeah. Anyway, so where was I? Oh yeah, going to run out of money. So, depending on who you listen to, there are either death panels or deciding groups associated with this bill, or they're not. So, some of the stories that I've heard is the original bill had an oversight committee that would basically, when it comes to a certain point, look at the charges that were going to be incurred by taking care of someone and make an ultimate decision as to whether or not they were going to be eligible for that care. So apparently that was removed from the original bill. Now, depending on who you listen to, and I'll leave it up to you guys to check it out for yourselves, I'm not going to tell you one way or the other, but depending on who you listen to, that particular executive panel was brought in on another piece of legislation as an amendment and snuck in while no longer technically being associated with Obamacare. So again, I'm not here to make any decisions for you, do any research for you. I'm simply telling you what I found and telling you that if you want to know more, you can simply Google that or look into it. And then the one thing that I would remind you, for those of you who are like bowers, the folks that bow at the altar of Snopes, you might want to look into where the funding for that particular organization comes from. Now, as far as day-to-day fact-finding stuff that's not political, I think they do a really good job. But anything that's politically based, I have found they tend to be rather biased. I'm not saying there's really anything out there that's too much better, but I always take anything they have to say politically with a grain of salt. So for those of you who are going to run to Snopes first, all I'm saying is, even if it says that's false, do a little bit more research. Because honestly, I haven't found an answer one way or the other. I can find places that tell me it's false. I can find places that tell me it's true. But my whole point with all of this is, at some point, this particular program is going to run out of money. So they're going to have some sort of a contingency in place, even if it's not there now, that at some point is going to determine whether or not you are going to be eligible for the things that you need to be able to save your life. It already happens in Canada every day. There was a story that I found on a Canadian Facebook page that I follow rather regularly. One of the admins over there is also an admin for another page, and she was talking about the fact that she had a friend who basically was in remission from cancer. The cancer came back. She was trying to go to the doctor for months. They kept telling her not to worry about it. Well, she finally got to this one doctor who ran the right kind of tests and said, hey, look, it appears your cancer's coming back, but we're going to have to send you to a specialist. Problem was, her prognosis was probably anywhere from 3 to 4 months to live. It was going to be at least 6 months before she got into said specialist. Those are the kind of things that we're going to find ourselves in here. And if you don't believe me, think about it for a second. Anywhere there's socialized medicine, if you've got a hangnail, you got a cold, they go there. But if they need something serious done, folks, if they can afford it, they come here. It's no different than what Ronald Reagan used to say, just from a medical perspective. If we lose our medical freedom here, there's going to be nowhere else for anybody to run. That goes for all of our freedoms, but more specifically our medical freedoms. Because think about it, folks, anytime the government gets control of anything, what happens? The costs go up, they continue to go up, they raise your taxes to cover the new costs, and the costs still continue to go up, and you get worse benefits than what you had in the first place because it's government controlled. There's so much bureaucracy in our government now, they can't run anything without some sort of advisory panel. I mean, come on, how many czars does Obama have ensconced in the White House right now? And that's not just because he's a community organizer, folks. It's really not. Anyway, we are starting to wind down to the end of the show. I'm going to go ahead and take another little bit of a music break here. And we again will be right back.
What you do not realize, what you don't understand, is this is for your own good. If you do not accept these conditions and rules set before you, they shall be forced upon you, for the good of society as a whole, and the well-being and the preservation of the free and the recreation. Without rules, there is anarchy. No entities and powers fitted with your conception of freedom, it is for us to decide. You're hardly in a position to dictate legally.
The satellite is on me now, watching every move I make, recording every word I say. system says it's working now. Self-correcting, there are no questions to be asked, no, none to be raised. Am I out of my head? Are they pushing you down? And am I out of my head? Are they pushing you down? The propaganda machine says don't even try. You can stop your brother now. And what did you say? Would you please explain? Mistakes we've made will linger on. On and on. And the path we take, the actions made, will make or break us now, break us down. Memories fade so fast. Blindly we go along like ants in the cave we stay. Blindly we go along, and birth and death are the same, are the same. Are completely out of my hands. Completely out of my hands. It's completely out of my hands. Completely out of my hands. Completely out of my hands. All the way, just be ready. We won't give into this. All the way, just be ready. We won't give into this. All the way, just be ready. We won't give into this. Completely out of my hands. It's completely out of my hands. It's completely out of my hands. Am I out of my head?
We were made to be courageous. We were made to lead the way. We could be the generation that finally breaks the chains. We were
Giving the Obama administration the big ones up, right from the middle finger. Common Ground Radio with Double R.
Alright, folks, and we are back. And again, this is going to wind down the show. Typically, I try to do this one for about 90 minutes, mainly because, like I said, I am on the air 2 other times a week. It used to be 3. I actually had to cut back. We had another show that we were trying to get going with Denny C. and Aaron J. Denny C. is the host of The Family Factor. For those of you who are not yet checking out our shows over on BTR, you may want to give it a listen. And then Aaron J. is a pastor buddy of mine who was coming on with us every other Saturday and hanging out for about 2 hours, and we were basically having good old conservative times. Went over pretty well at first, and honestly, folks really seemed to like it, but my good buddy Aaron got himself a job over with a television ministry that I won't mention because I don't have permission from him to do that, so he's been really busy. So hats off to that gentleman. Glad to see the things that you're wanting to do are working out. Now, the last couple of minutes, I wanted to go over a few things, only because I've noticed something in the last few years that I thought was kind of interesting. I have a few gentlemen that I knew from my previous job before the one that I have currently, who have now moved on and they're off doing their own thing, much like I am with this radio stuff. I think they're actually making a little bit of money at it, though, so I'm kind of jealous, but I've really only been doing this for a few months, so I'm not that worried about it yet. That would be Mr. James Curtis, who is a local comedian here in the Oklahoma City area. You can find him on Facebook as well as on Twitter. I believe his Twitter handle is James Curtis, or James Curtis, I think it's... Well, I know it's got at OKC in it. Sorry, like I said, I can't pull up more than one thing at a time right now for some reason with my internet. So you should be able to find him on Twitter just by searching James Curtis. That should pull up. Just look for the one that has Oklahoma City in it. Also, Mr. John Bias, otherwise known as Duke Swayze, is off doing his music thing. Now, I've known those gentlemen for several years from our previous employer, and it's just really good to see them kind of going off and doing the things that they've always wanted to do. So hats off to you, gentlemen. I do plan on, at some point, trying to have JB and James Curtis on one of our Friday shows. Who knows? Maybe I can pull something off and have them both on at the same time. That would be awesome. Kind of get an old school chat session going on, if you know what I mean. Then from my current employer, Miss Sherry Britt, that's how I met her. She's now off exploring her own stuff full-time, doing the Beachbody thing, and also now working on getting a charity started. So hats off to her as well for following her heart and her dreams. As I've told you before, off air, ma'am, and I'm going to go ahead and make that pledge today on air so everybody can hold me to it. For as long as you are working on that charity, you have access to my network, whether it's the Spreaker channel, the BTR channel, the blogs that we run, and even freepressok.com. Speaking of which, I know you've got a lot on your plate right now, but when you can, please shoot me an email with a bio so we can start getting some pieces written up. And I, again, will talk to you about this stuff off the air. Just wanted to let you know, because we find ourselves in Oklahoma and because we go through this stuff every year, and I've already found things that other states that don't go through it nearly as much as we do are putting into effect, and yet we're still not doing them here. It's time for us to, again, tell government to get the hell out of the way, and we're going to take care of it ourselves. Because that's all I keep hearing is partisan bickering over the storm shelter ideas. I don't care which party you're on. If you're not interested in putting our kids first, you can screw off. Because I'm going to do everything I can to help make sure that this charity and others like it make as much money as they can, so that when you guys are still sitting there fighting about it, we're going to be getting the stuff done. So, again, not calling anybody out, anything like that, just public declaration. My company, as little as it may be for now, is going to be completely behind the storm shelter idea. So, Shelters for Schools is basically what she's calling the charity right now. You can find a GoFundMe link for it. Again, I will make sure that I have all that stuff written down for next week's episode, just in case my internet is going crazy again, so that I can actually give out the information. But you can find it if you simply look for Sherry Britt on Facebook. Or the GoFundMe link is there. And it should show up as public, even if you're not a friend with her, so you should be able to find it there. So if you want to give any money to this particular charity, feel free to do so through there. One of the first events she'll be doing will be in January. Our plan is to be doing a live broadcast from the site of the event before it starts. Also planning on, she's going to have some t-shirts for sale, and tickets and things like that, so you can find information there as well. But again, that is basically going to do it for us today. Thanks for tuning in and checking us out yet again, and thanks again to all the folks that are following us now on Spreaker. Do me a favor, head over to BTR and hit that follow button too. Maybe you'll wake that particular service up, because like I said, for some reason this service seems to be so much more active than that one. I think maybe it has something to do with the fact that you guys actually have a mobile app over here. Anyway, I'm going to take us out the same way I took us in. We're going to play the Monday song again. We'll be back next week. Same time, same channel, probably about 9:30ish again. I'll be on tomorrow on the BTR channel on Finding Common Ground with my buddy Dave. Family Factor will be on Wednesday with Denny C. Thursday is On the Fringes. Make sure you check that out. I'm actually going to try to see if I can get him to move one of those shows over here because of how much more active the platform is, and I see lots of folks that have radio style shows over here too. And then Friday, Red Shirt Friday will be on. Saturday, Around the Ring. Sunday, Outer Limits with Steve Long, 6 p.m. And Monday, we're right back here again. You guys wonder why I'm always so frazzled. Look at all the stuff we're doing. We are out, folks. We'll be back. Thanks for hanging out.
So now we face you once again. Like clockwork, you bring good times to an end. A week to suffer through begins anew because of you. Oh, Monday, Monday, we all hate you, yeah. That's right, I promise it's true. You can work, but we don't want to go away. Nobody likes you. Tuesday's not as bad, and Wednesday's so Thursday's fine, and we know Friday's better, Saturday's the best, but Sunday brings us back to Monday. 4 days on my calendar, monthly, not the yearly kind. You make me wanna claw my eyes out. You make me wanna lose my mind. Oh, Monday, Monday, we all hate you, yeah. That's right, I promise it's true. You can work, but we don't want to go away. Nobody likes you. Tuesday's not as bad, and Wednesday